Hello, everybody, family, friends, followers. We appreciate you being on our show today, listening to this week's edition of Great Employees Matter, the podcast that focuses on helping employees elevate themselves from average to great and works with employers to teach them how to nurture, advance, appreciate their most valuable asset, their employees. So thank you for listening to us today. Our guest today is someone that you're going to really enjoy listening to. Her name is Carla Coates. She's the CEO of Coates Consulting Group. She is very, very accomplished in this space. She's actually an author. She's written a book called Let's Get Down to Business, 3 Steps to Leadership. We'll talk about that during the show. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Koby, and he can bring us in.
Yeah, welcome as always, every Tuesday, 2:00, right here. Great Employees Matter, Greatness, Excellence, Motivation. We have great guests, and we love it when you guys like, share, and subscribe and engage with us. Say, hey, Carla, welcome to the show. How are you? And it's great to meet you.
Oh, it's great to meet all of you, both of you, Koby and Jimi. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Let's start from the beginning, Carla. Where did you grow up, and what was life like as a kid?
Oh, love the question. Okay, so I grew up in a few places. I grew up in Washington, D.C., and I'm a pure Gen Xer. So I grew up with freedom, meaning if I had a bike, I was going somewhere, either by myself or with my friends or with my family. And at the age of 8, we moved to Silver Spring, Maryland. And I just thought, wow, this is huge, because they had a swimming pool there. And I was frightened. I can't even say frightened. I was terrified of water. But a friend of mine taught me how to swim. And then I went every day. I mean, every day.
Nice. What kind of a household did you come from? Were leadership, education, or service a part of your environment?
Yes and no. So I grew up with my mom. She was she was a what do you call it? She was a clerical person for a national insurance company. They mostly served the federal government. But I tell you what I saw in my mother. She wanted to advance her career. So she took classes. She continued, she moved up the ladder within the organization. And as a child, I watched that. And I did not realize that I mirrored her leadership.
Wow.
I did not realize it until maybe just it was several years ago. I was surprised.
You can go back and you can see certain things that you did as a child and verify who you are today. Yes. And so you kind of blew through my next question, which is probably your mom. Your mom is probably your mentor, but I was going to ask you, were there any mentors, teachers, or family members who planted early seeds of leadership in you?
My mom, definitely. Without her saying anything, she actually, like I mentioned about her just growing in her career, she became a manager and so forth. But the other thing is, my mother loved to sew. I never picked that up, let me tell you. I can't do that at all. But she loved to sew. So what she built was a business, and she would actually, I don't know what all the technical terms, I'm just going to say sew. She would create and sew wedding gowns, costumes for Halloween. I mean, elaborate costumes. And I saw the entrepreneurial side. So that was embedded in me. And I thought, wow, you could actually grow. You could have a grow at work and become a leader at work, and then a leader yourself. And she did all this without saying, Carla, you need to think about these things. I just saw her example.
She just led by example. I love that. I 100%. Really love that. Yeah, I really love that, man. What challenges or turning points from your upbringing help shape the woman and the leader you are today?
Okay. I got to tell you.
Let me ask it again, because I didn't switch my camera. What challenges or turning points from your upbringing helped shape the woman you are or the leader you are today?
Okay, so right before I graduated from high school, my mom said, Carla, you need to get a job before you go to college. I said, what for? You take care of me. And she said, no, I want you to learn responsibility. I thought, this is the pits. I was going to have a great summer. So I applied at a couple of places, and I finally got a position at, it's called Lucky Luciano's. I made, it's an Italian restaurant. I made the homemade crust, shredded the mozzarella cheese, prepared the tomato sauce, and I basically took care of that part of the pizza. But I was so into it that I thought, oh my gosh, I'm good at something. Instead of just being a kid at home, being taken care of by my mom. And I just felt empowered that I could learn something and that I'm not expecting to go further in the pizza business, but just that sense of, wow, I can really do something on my own without my mom or my family members involved. It was an independence that helped me just push myself forward in the future. It was just, the only word I could think of, it was just empowering. My first job was empowering. So that helped me to propel in my career when I worked for various organizations, and this is the public sector and the private sector, just to have that empowerment.
Okay. And I want to continue on that, but I still have a little bit more that I want to ask you before we jump right into your leadership and your jobs and what made your transition. Mm-hmm. Can you tell me a little bit about your educational background?
Oh, sure. So this is something. So I only finished 3 years of college. I never got a college degree. But yet the positions that I was in, you should have had a master's degree. And I just continued to learn how to, I learned the business, and I also learned how to, over time, treat people. That was huge.
Man, let me tell you how powerful that is.
Yeah.
It's super powerful that you're able to do that. I went through a similar journey. Right?
Oh.
I don't have a college degree, but I was a corporate manager for some pretty high-level companies, Saks Fifth Avenue, Tower Records, TJ Maxx, Albertsons, right? At the corporate level with no degree. And what got me on that journey, and this is a message for people out there that really know, and I actually put this in my book, where my mentor said, you have experience. The experience is going to trump the degree, and you're promoting from within, so that experience should match it.
Yes.
I had no idea I would have let that position pass me over had he not had a conversation with me and told me to go out for it, and I got it against other people that had degrees because of my experience. So I love your story and saying that, because there's a myth, especially in our inner cities, right? There's a myth that you have to have a degree in order to be successful, or you're not going to make it. But I think that it's very true in being able to help you propel yourself and get you somewhere faster, but it's not the end all be all. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I went for, I don't know if you're familiar with the federal government. So I applied for a GS-15 position. And that's a position you should have been working on your master's degree. Well, I beat out people with CPAs. I mean, I beat out a lot of people. It's because the executive was looking for a strong leader, and she saw that in me. She saw more in me than I saw in myself. So the leadership part and the part of ensuring that you're not focusing on yourself, you're focusing on building a team, thereby building the organization. It plays a huge role in your life.
So I gotta ask you, because not many people have the philosophy that you have, but I love it because I understand it thoroughly, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to ask, like, what in you? How did you develop that? Just by watching your mom, or because that sounds like natural leadership to me.
Okay. So it wasn't, it was natural from a point of view of I am the oldest in the family. So my sister didn't come along until I was 9 years old. So you're put in that role that you got to take care of, your siblings because you're the oldest. So I was used to leading. I was used to bossing, my siblings. You did what I said.
Leadership roles. You just had leadership roles without being told that that's what it was.
Right. So, but over time, I felt that I really wanted to grow in my leadership, but to the point of really growing and being a strong leader, I was in in that high level leadership position, but I was simply a manager. And I just thought my team was lame, really, and I just thought, oh, this team, it's not what I wanted. I wanted a high performing team and I wanted a happy team, but that wasn't it. Until one day, the executive who hired me, she stormed into my office and she cursed me out for 90 seconds. And I sat there like this. I was petrified. I was deflated. And I just thought, I'm going to lose my job. And you lose your job, which means no income, which really means no money. So I didn't know what to do. And plus I was sitting there, excuse me, I was sitting there. Not only did I feel deflated, but then I became indignant, like, oh, she doesn't talk to me like that. I'm Carla Coates. But I heard the still small voice that listen to what she said, not how she said it. And she was telling me that I wasn't a strong leader. She said, you're not taking care of your team. You're not collaborating with your peers. And you really let me down. So I had to spend time learning what a real leader looked like. And it wasn't me. I was just a manager over the task and moving people around. But over time, I learned that, leadership is not about me. It's about the team. It's about building a team so they can continue to grow, and they will leave you because they have grown. It's about them.
That brings me to your mantra. If you take care of the people will take care of the mission. And that's a super powerful statement. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Sure thing. So that came from one of my employees. She worked for quite a while, and she says, Carla, if you take care of your employees, they'll take care of the mission. I was like, what? I had never heard of that. She said, I learned that from a director years ago. And I really sat with that. And I said, that's so true. If you take care of your employees would take care of your mission.
And this is a powerful statement for employers. Now, we talk to employees and we talk to employers. And we always say that if an employer has a problem with retention, the problem is probably not the people, it's probably the environment. And this is a big, big statement, because I think, especially now in the 2000s, companies are less likely to care or worry or take care of the employees how they should appropriately be taken care of in order for them to reciprocate and take care of your business.
Yeah.
Right. And so to me, it is a full circle. And I love that mantra, because it is the foundation of success for your business. Because if you don't take care of the people, eventually your business is going to fall down.
Right. I'm with you. I am, but I had to learn it the hard way. I had to take classes. I had to watch myself to just be self-aware, and I had to watch my tone. I've got a strong voice.
You mean you got BWE? Never mind. We're not going to talk about it. So before I pass it over to Jimi, I just want to ask you one last question. You said you did a lot on your own. How about mentors? Because mentors are important. Any mentors that help you get where you needed to be at in leadership?
Yes. So I had a few mentors. I had an employee who was a mentor to me. That's the one who brought up, who said it. If you take care of your people will take care of your mission. I used to listen to her. She had been in a leadership position for years, and she worked directly for me. She was a manager who worked directly for me. I learned from my employee. I mean,
Hey, leadership is all directions, and
yes,
you got to know how
absolutely.
to follow in order to be a leader. So I
Oh my
don't think that's an accident.
Oh my goodness. I learned from her because leadership, you have to be humble. I had to learn that I needed to be humble. And then I also had another mentor. She was an executive, and I watched how she carried herself in the room, how she commanded the room, and how times something as simple as she would sit back and listen. And then other times she would bring people along and not just have the spotlight for her. So yeah, I had a few mentors. Yeah, definitely.
And listening is a superpower. So right now, I'm sure Jimmy's like, man, you taking over the whole interview. So I'm going to sit back and practice my superpower and pass it over to Jimmy. Jimmy?
Okay.
Well, thank you, Koby. Okay, so I have 3 minutes left. Carla, can you tell me or tell us or share with our audience, what did you study in college?
I computer science, and I hated it.
Really? Did you study computer science because your mom told you that that would be a good field to be in, or was it something that you had some interest in before you went to college, or is it something that you gained an interest in your first year of college while you were doing general ed studies?
Jimmy, I was going for the money.
Okay.
As a 17-year-old, I thought, where can I make some money? The computer science. I was going for a computer science degree. That was simply it. No one else. I just sat there and thought, they make a great living. And when I got into all the data points, I said, this is not for me at all.
How long did it take you to do that?
It took me a year. I eventually transitioned over to human resources management, not to become an HR person, but because I have a sense of the nurturing side of me. I wanted to make sure that I learned that side of the business.
I see. And you spoke of your employee that ended up being a mentor, just by her sharing of information that she had learned from prior directors and people that she had worked with. My suspicion is that that's what drove you to have I'm not sure it's your signature speech, but certainly one of your presentations, it was entitled "The Wake Up Call: Finding Your GPS to Lead with Confidence."
Yes.
And so that leads me to a couple of questions. The first is, I'll start with a comment. I think that you might be a bit of an anomaly in that many people that work for the government, especially on the GS-15 route, right, when you've gotten that committed, they tend to be lifelong government employees. So what happened in your career that caused you to allow the entrepreneurial spirit in you that was developed through your observation of the natural leader, your mother? What caused you to migrate into entrepreneurship and starting your own business?
Okay, so I retired at 57, but for, I would say, maybe about 10 years or so, I really had that bug that I wanted to start my own business, but I didn't know. I just didn't know what type of business. And usually, you mentioned about the government employee. Yeah, it's set up well. You can retire 65, 62, 65, 70. I mean, some people are still working in their 80s and 90s. But I knew that I did not want to do this forever. While it was great, don't get me wrong, it was great all the way around. I mean, that good government job thing, it was a good government job. But I just thought, you know what? I've learned so much about leadership. I've learned about me. And I felt that it was time for me to benefit from me. Does that make sense?
It makes
Because
perfect sense.
I'll say that again.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, because I felt that, I'm given a lot. They are able to benefit from my knowledge. And I was asked like 4 times to really grow higher in the organization. They offered me a position that was higher. And I just thought, let me think about that. No, because you want me, it's time for Carla to benefit from Carla.
Right. Well, I I appreciate the answer, and I apologize. And for everybody that's listening to this podcast, let this be a lesson about not making assumptions. I apologize. You look like you're 37. How could you have possibly retired at 57? This is wild to me. I truly had no idea. I assumed
I'm
that
60
you.
years old, Jimmy.
Oh my gosh. I assumed that you left your government employment early to start your entrepreneurship journey.
Yeah, me too.
Unbelievable. So kudos to your mother, right? For being able to produce you, and you're beautiful and you look young. And again, I apologize for the assumption that you had left government employment early. So that's a lesson to all of us. You should never assume. But you obviously you're very well accomplished. A lot of it came through your government role for the benefit of the audience. Carla was certified by the U.S. Office of Personnel Management, and she's a certified life coach from the Certified Life Coach Institute. So Carla, you're very committed to self-development, to personal development, and education. So, what brought you to that space? It sounds like that's been a lifelong part of your journey.
So, when I was thinking about what can I do for my business, I just couldn't think of anything. I knew I wanted to lean towards leadership. And I said, well, what about coaching? And I actually researched coaching. What is that all about? And I almost became a John Maxwell coach.
Oh, okay.
I spoke to the lady, and I was in Great Lakes, so it's not recruiting, like a what is it? The base, the training base for the enlisted members. It was a Great Lakes, Illinois, and I talked to her, and I thought, this sounds great. Until I received an email stating that the federal government is looking to build a second cohort to bring in coaches. And let's see, you can be nominated, and let's see what happens. And I worked for the DOD, and they would only pay for 4 people. And I thought, can I get in? And I was surprised that I was able to get in. But it simply started because I wanted to learn. I wanted to have something that I could build a business on. And when I saw coaching align with leadership, I just knew that was the right path.
Well, you chose the right path, and it's obviously doing very well for you. We met you at another event at the summit, and you were one of the people that just stood out in that summit. So thank you for allowing us to bring you on to this show and talk about your journey. One of your talks was entitled Leadership and Self-Care. Can you share a little bit about that with us?
Oh, yes. I could tell you. One of the biggest things that leaders don't do is they don't take care of themselves. And one of the, I can't believe I'm saying this because I can't stand what people say. It's in my book. Okay, I'm gonna say it. So it's in my book. One of the things is simply saying no. That was hard because I want to take care of everybody, and I just had to learn to say no, not to hurt someone, but to support me. And I had to learn to say no from a small area, and that was during lunchtime. Because I would sit there, hey, you got an issue? Let's work through it. And I'm sitting there and I'm eating my salad. And I said, excuse me, you don't mind if I sit here and eat while we have this short meal? And they're like, no, because they're getting what they need. But I had to learn to know, Carla, you get your 30 minutes of lunch, close the door. And no matter what, don't open that door. And sit there and eat your lunch in quiet or read a book. That was a small area, and it was so hard because people would knock on my door, and I would sit there and take a breath. And I would say, I'm at lunch. And, oh, you hear this pause. Oh, okay. Because they weren't used to that. They were used to Carla, come on in. But I had to stop and just say, my 30 minutes is for me, period. And that was one of the areas I had to work on self-care. It starts with saying no to people and yes to yourself. And I
don't want to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, it's very hard because if you take care of your people, you got to take care of they'll take care of your mission. But I also say, but before you take care of your people, you have to take care of yourself.
And I want to say this is such a powerful message because you had that problem, Carla, because you're a selfless servant and you take care of people, and that's a full-time 24/7 occupation. You don't take time off from that. Mm-hmm. But on the flip side of that, the important lesson that I think you're teaching here to our audience is that you have to take time for yourself, not just as a leader, but as a person, as a, just in life in general, and learning to say no to that kind of stuff. But to a lot of things is, to me, a skill set that a lot of people have to learn, including myself. I've been doing the same thing. I'm a servant as well. I do a lot. I'm in high demand, and I have to tell people no sometimes, and it absolutely is a struggle. So I feel you on your journey with that for sure.
And in telling people no, you need to set those parameters. It's very important to let people know that you do need to take care of yourself, and these are my unchangeable parameters, right? This is the time, whether it be lunchtime or some period that you set aside, or you share your schedule with people and say, this period is inviolate, right? I'm not going to allow people to come into my space during that time because I need it for me, and however you couch it, I need it for planning, I need it for personal development, whatever it is, but you need to hold that time inviolate and set those parameters.
It's called boundaries.
You and Koby and I are very similar in that we all are strong nurturers, right? And that nurturing sometimes is in conflict with our knowledge or our blueprint basis, right? And so we all know what that language is all about. And for the audience, you'll need to just check back in, be here every Tuesday and listen to us, because we will be having a session coming up soon talking about the bank code. But you're a nurturer, and it does create some inherent conflict between what we want to get accomplished and how we want to accomplish it, because we're taking care of people. Mm-hmm. And once you get that realization, it helps, being able to do that and do that well. So thank you for that answer. On your employment history then, again, I had no idea that you spent that many years with the government. What was your most impactful job in your government role that led to your foundation as an entrepreneur? What did you learn from the government that you were able to take out and now share with others?
That's a deep question.
We ask deep questions around here.
So ask me the question again, if you please.
Okay, let me paraphrase it. What did you learn from your government employment that enabled you to be a very effective coach?
Mm.
Let me see if I can answer it this way. One of the things I learned, okay, so I worked for the military. One of the things I learned is that the military is very systematic. And because of that, you know, they have the leader. So we always had an admiral. We had a 2-star, 3-star. And it's what they say. It's, of course, hey, if you don't listen to what we say, people die. I remember that from what was the movie? So I learned that I can be me. I know that's probably not what you're looking for, but I had to learn to be me. Yes, I'm a nurturer.
Exactly what we're looking for.
Okay. So I had to learn that even though they're systematic and they have a way of doing business to protect the country and to protect the country around the world, because the military is all over the world, U.S. military. And then with that, there are a lot of different personalities, and a lot of people like to they conform. Well, I remember as a kid, my mother used to stare at me because she didn't know which side of Carla was going to come out, whether I was going to be extremely serious or extremely silly. And so I remember her like from the side staring like, what kind of Carla am I going to get right now? So with me, I learned that I am a silly person. I mean, really, I'm a silly person. And that wasn't always welcomed. But you know what? I'm Carla. You hired me. I'm going to do my best to support the organization. And while I am serious and I am going to support you and I'm going to support the military, I'm going to support the military members, but you also hired someone who's silly. So at certain times, if I say something silly and you have a problem, that's your problem. That's not mine. I'm not going to disrespect you, but I'm just naturally silly. I got to be me.
That's a great answer. And one of the reasons that that's a great answer is that one of our mantras is that we teach employees how to be accountable to themselves for themselves, not for their employer, but for themselves, because if they're accountable to themselves, then they're always going to perform to their absolute best, and that will be recognized and they'll be appreciated for that. So oftentimes when we ask that question, the response is, I learned how to treat people. But it's so much more important to know who you are and how you take your skills and be able to transfer all the positive sides of that to others, especially in a leadership role. So thank you for that.
All right. So Carla, you obviously deal with a lot of people, and you deal with a lot of emotions with those people, I'm sure. Are you familiar with the bank code breaker bank code?
Yes, I am.
I love it. Do you use that in your teachings or coaching?
Oh, absolutely. So I have one client who is he's a nurturer, but then he's also a blueprint. So I have to make sure that, and I am someone who is an action person and a nurturer.
I was going to say, I believe you're an AM already. So,
oh yeah.
Facts.
So, but I have to learn to meet him where he is. For instance, if we have a session, pardon me, and it's at 7:00. Okay, as an action person, I'm going to show up at 7:00. Right.
You're going to show up at 6:45.
I'm ready to go.
You're going to show up at 6:45.
Right. So, but that client will show up early. So I need to show up early. It goes against me. It goes against my personality. But you know what? I'm showing up for the client. So I'm going to sign on early. And when I sign on early and he signs on after me, he's like, "Oh, Carla, hi, Carla." It's like you were there for me.
Yeah, facts. And the whole language changes once you understand that. And so we like the bank codes. And the only reason why I asked you that is because to me it's evident that you operate there. And maybe when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about the impacts of that. But I got a treat for everybody. Watch this sponsor. It's our sponsor, Codebreaker. We had Sherry in our studio. She's the creator of it. And it's an incredibly powerful program. And I think that a lot of businesses should implement this into their business because it helps you put people where they belong and they can excel there. So with that, we're going to go to our break and we'll be right back after this break.
There's 6,500 foreign languages spoken in the world, but we believe only one language has the power to unite and connect the human race. We call that language BANK. And BANK is a methodology that we created, which is personality-based. It's rooted in the principles of the 4 personality types, dating back thousands of years, with a very powerful modern-day twist that, when applied to business and relationship, creates extraordinary results.
The number one problem is people want to make more money and they don't know how. So they have a problem actually connecting with their prospect, their lead, their customer, the person across from them. We teach them how to communicate more effectively and figure out their personality type and then how to get a better connection, and it automatically leads when people like you, they want to buy your product.
What we specifically do for our clients is we teach them how to increase their influence, their income, and their impact up to 300%.
It's opened doors that I didn't even know existed. I immediately saw the impact that it could have in education.
Not only has it increased my income, but it has absolutely changed my impact and my influence.
Bankcode is an amazing technology that you can use to find out about other people rather than just yourself. I'm communicating better with my friends, my family, my clients.
Getting to yes sooner, getting to what matters to the person sooner by just listening to what they value.
And really just gave me an opportunity to connect with people in a much different way.
Making it a win-win-win for all the people involved.
It's literally lighting a fire inside of me that I didn't know I had.
And it was really a no-brainer for me.
There's a lot of assessments that are in the market. Ours is unique originally because most every other assessment was based in psychology, whereas BANK was based in what we call biology, spelled B-U-Y-ology, which was the science of buying behavior, or what we now understand as buy-in behavior. It's the science of communication. So it gave us a very unique ability to predict someone's buying behavior in less than 90 seconds, and now in nanoseconds using our Codebreaker artificial intelligence. So if you want to learn more and you want to come join our Make People Matter movement, you want to discover more about yourself and your personality, come visit us at codebreakerglobal.com. Codebreaker Global, make people matter.
So thank you, Codebreaker, for all that you do. We appreciate your sponsorship. We're going to get back into our discussion with Carla Coates. Carla, you had mentioned earlier that someone in your life had said that she saw more in me than I saw in myself. Mm-hmm. That is such a powerful statement, because as we mature, right, as we go through our life journey, there oftentimes is that point when we realize who we are. And we've gone through that first 18, 25, 35, 60 years of our life without really taking the time to find out who we are. So I would assume that was quite the revelation for you. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was.
And what did you at that point not have seen in yourself that was so illuminating when she made that statement?
I wasn't a strong leader. Simply as that. She said, "Oh, Carla, you're a strong leader." I said, "I am?" I mean, just like that. I said, "I am?" She said, "Yes." I'm thinking this woman's lost her mind, because I was seriously.
Wow. But you came to that realization, and you were able to parlay that into some of your coaching. Why do I know that? Because one of your talks is from boss to leader, and I'm
Yeah.
sure that's part of that story, correct?
Yeah. Yes. 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 Because I was, like I mentioned earlier, I was I was a manager, but I was a boss, and I didn't know the difference between just managing people, directing people, instead of being a support to people.
Man, can I just add to that comment? Because my experience, I was a leader in my environment, and I was fortunate enough to have a very incredibly skilled mentor, a leadership mentor. Give a shout out. So Kevin Carter was instrumental in teaching me how to become a leader. And once I promoted and started working with people in the same level as me, I was surrounded by a bunch of bosses and looking at their style of management. And it was a do as I say type of environment without having any care for the people. I watched their turnover, and it was very easy for me to excel with cooperation from the people I had under my responsibility. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. And you know, the reason why is because, first of all, people don't train. Normally, you're not trained to be a leader. You're trained to be a manager. You're trained to be a supervisor. And then also, folks who are in a leadership role, but they're not an actual leader, they're hired by the same type of person. So you just get this cycle. Oh, I know what I'm looking for. I'm looking for me. And folks never think that I am in a leadership role, but I'm not an actual leader. I'm just moving the pieces around to make me look good, support my ego, and to make sure that I get the next promotion. So those are the two things.
Would you agree that if you took care of your team, because this was my philosophy and it worked across different companies, I would just take care of my team, make sure I empowered them, give them the responsibilities, some ownership, and take care of them. And anything that happened out of my area, I never took the credit. I would always give the credit to my team.
Amen.
The only thing that did was elevate me even faster, quicker, and in a good way, respectively.
I call it leading from the back.
Oh, I like that.
Nice.
Yeah, because that's what you're doing. You've got your team, and then you lead from the back. And as your team is doing well, you all receiving all these accolades, you give it right back to the team. But then if something goes wrong, you hold the team accountable, but you take the failure because it's your responsibility, period. But
This is crazy. I've never talked to anybody with this philosophy, and this is my management style. I would never, I used to give some pretty incredible responsibilities to people that worked for me. They were my responsibilities.
Yes.
But I used to give it to them. But if they made a mistake, guess who took the fault?
Absolutely.
I did. I never told them. Oh, well, I had her taking care of this for me, so I'll get with her and check. No, I'm sorry that happened. I don't know what happened. Let me figure out what happened, and I'll get it fixed and come back to you. My apologies. And then I would go and talk to the person that was in that responsibility, and we would have that reprimand. Right. So I love your philosophy and what you stand for, but I've never. It's very, very. It's not common. It's not common, this type of leadership. So I'm grateful to be on the phone with you, to be honest.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's one of the. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say from Coach Consulting Group's perspective, part of your calling card, if you will, is that you help clients build high impact people first teams, right? So can you succinctly tell us how you do that when you're working with an organization or leadership within an organization?
I would say The first thing you do, you need to hear from the leader. You need to learn, as a coach, you need to learn where they are first, because it takes time. This is not overnight. You can't just say, oh, I've actually, I'm in a leadership role. I am the leader and I know how to lead. Well, we all come with baggage. We just simply do. So we walk into a role, and as a coach, you need to first hear, what are the concerns? What are the issues? And then you need to be able to help them to become self-aware. And it's by asking powerful questions, because they need to develop it themselves. But it all starts with you working with the leader, period. It's not so much working with the team. Yeah, you can work with the team, but that leader is the one who's responsible. So it's and let me say this also, with coaching and you're asking powerful questions, you may not always focus on the work. Sometimes, as I mentioned earlier, we come with baggage, or we just come with, it could be trauma, it can be something that's holding you back. Coaching is not therapy, but sometimes you need to, you got to dig down deeper so people can see, oh, wait a minute. I just yelled at this person, which was inappropriate, because this is how my previous manager dealt with me. So I'm thinking it's correct. That's the way I should move forward. So it's a lot of self-awareness that you work with the person so they can see this is an opportunity for me to grow. And as the leader grows, the team grows. So it has to be a start with the leader. It's just like some people who own not coaching, but they own organizations. And they may be a consultant, they may be a coach, but they will start with the CEO first, and they may have 500 employees. Where's everything going to come from? It's going to come from the CEO, possibly a board, but it'll come from the CEO. So if that person is in a bad mindset, it's going to filter down all the way to the lowest person in the organization. So once you start with the leader first, everything changes.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. That's a good segue then, because I suspect that you cover that in your book, Let's Get Down to Business, 3 Steps to Leadership. So can you tell us a little bit about your book?
Okay, so I wrote the book because when I was placed in a high-level position, no one told me anything. I said to my manager, okay, so what do I do? I don't know how to do this. I mean, I've got people in different locations. He said, well, you'll figure it out, Carla. I'll give yourself a year. I'm thinking, what kind of mess is this? A year? I'm supposed to figure it out? And so I said, well, why not give a simple blueprint? Because it's a small book, but why not give a simple blueprint of what you should do, who you should communicate, what you should do as far as getting on the calendar with the leader, and then also working with HR. People leave HR out. I learned so much from HR. I didn't always agree, but you know what? Sometimes I needed to walk down the hall and ask HR a question. Am I on the right path? Or what are your thoughts? Because if you have a professional HR department, they should be able to give you advice. I mean, practical advice, but also within the regulations of the corporation and, the laws.
They're there for protection.
Yes. And that's the part I never hear, having a relationship with HR. And it's not that HR will get on your side. It's not like that. But you need to be able to understand your responsibility. I know HR said to me one time, Carla, you need to take this certain path when you're dealing with that employee. I said, look, I want to fire that employee. They said, nah.
Regulators, they are the protectors. So yeah.
Yes, on both sides. And yeah, they do lean towards supporting because they're hired to support managers, but also they're able to lead you in the right path. So, but anyway, that's part of the book. It just gives a snippet about HR, and then also to help you with 90 days. Once you're in that leadership role, well, what do? how do you support your team? How do you give them freedom to decide certain things? And how do you trust them? That's a big thing. You cannot be a strong leader without supporting your team.
I agree with that. And I just want to say, shout out to that leader that put you out there and just said, hey, handle it and we'll see where you are in a year. That is not the business. Right. My mentor, Kevin, when I first started, because I had no idea about management, leadership, or anything. I started at the bottom. I was just doing my thing at one location and stood out from that. And he came and got me and said, hey, I could teach you how to do this job. But that's exactly what he did. He put time into me, taught me mindset, taught me leadership, and told me to give it back to somebody else. That's all he wanted in return. So I love the fact that you came up with something that gives somebody a blueprint, because otherwise there's lots of people showing up in those positions like that.
Yeah.
And they have no idea. And to me, that is a recipe for failure, for facts.
Absolutely.
Well, I'd like to ask you if it would be okay then for us to promote your book on our website, and that will go side by side with one of the books that we wrote called The Figure It Out Factor. So it ties very well. And this is a great segue into this portion of our show that we refer to as shameless self-promotion. So would you mind spending a couple of minutes and just sharing with the audience how they get in touch with you, so that if they have any questions or would like to hire Coates Consulting, how they do that, what your website or contact information is?
So yes, they can reach me a few ways. First, I have
we want them all.
Okay. So my website is Coates Consulting. That's Coates, Coates, Coates Consulting Group.info, not .com, but it's .info. That's one way. And then you can schedule, you can book a call on there as well. Another way is reach out to me through LinkedIn. I have a Facebook account for my business, TikTok. I'm on YouTube and Instagram. And then also, if you just want to simply email me, my email is carla@coatesconsultinggroup.info.
Got it. Thank you very much for that. Koby, do you have any final questions?
I don't know about final. I have quite a few questions for her, but we can try to wrap
Here's
it up.
my list.
Yeah. You don't want to look at my list; it's computerized. But I do have another question. Since we deal with employees, and we teach them that it's really our program, Carla, is really it's a personal development program disguised as an employee program, because we really are teaching the principles that you take with you everywhere you go.
Yes.
And so, what does great employees matter mean to you as a leader and a coach?
Because you can't do it without them. I mean, I'm simplifying it. You can't. So you have a group of people working on whatever responsibility that you have, and it takes the entire team. So that's one of the reasons why I say you lead from the back. The team is doing the majority of the hard work. You simply cannot do it without them. But I will flip the script with the employees. What makes a great employee? A great employee, one of the things I look at is from the perspective of you need to be able to push forward. Meaning, if your leader gives you a little something extra, don't push back and say, you know what, that's not within my employee responsibility, however it's said. Take it as, oh, my supervisor, my manager, my leader is actually, they trust me to do something different. Then that helps me to grow. And I never know what's going to come down the pike for me in a year, 5 years, because I can look back and say, when they gave me that special project, hey, I've already done it, even though it wasn't my responsibility. It was a huge area for me to grow. So be open. I know sometimes we can't do everything, but A great employee, you can take the next step when they offer you something that's outside of your employee jurisdiction.
Oh, I love that answer because, I'm going to tell you how I operated. I took everything extra above my pay grade. And guess what happened? My pay grade raised to that level.
Yes.
Every time I did that, every company, it was just a formula I did. I was like, okay, if I just do my job, and, usually just doing your job is better than most people that's just trying to be there to collect their check. Which is, so if I figured if I just did the job that they hired me for, I'm going to get recognized. And it worked every single job. Every job I got promoted. So I love that answer. And the last question that I have for you is, if you could leave our listeners with one challenge, I'm going to switch the camera. If you can leave our listeners with one challenge to become better leaders, what would you tell them?
Listen.
That's a superpower.
Don't sit there don't sit there. Start to become comfortable with silence. Start to become comfortable with not speaking. Simply listen. And then when your opportunity is there, then speak. But listen. And that's just not in a work environment. That's at home. That's when you're hanging out with your friends at a restaurant. Practice listening.
I think that's so powerful. And with that, Jimi, final thoughts?
Yeah, thank you for that gem. Thank you for all the gems that you've left with our audience today. Thank you for being on our show. You were an outstanding guest. We hope that you will agree to be on our show again at some point in the future as we watch your growth, and as you watch our growth. You are exactly what Great Employees Matter needs, right? You're exactly what our audience needs. You are a wealth of information that is experientially based, and therefore it's relatable. And I cannot thank you enough for taking the time to be with us today. We appreciate you, and we will definitely spend some time with you in the future. Thank you. Koby?
Yeah, what Jimi said. And also, I want to extend a little bit more. I hope we'll stay on after this call for a little bit, but I hope that we can probably figure out some things to do together, because I think it will be powerful, and hopefully you'll be open to that. But I love what you stand for. It seems like we've had not similar journeys, but similar mindsets. Right. And so I like I said, I really relate to you. When I read your bio, I was like, this is just like me. I have an email that says your personal GPS and an Instagram account. Right. And so we match up on a lot of levels. And you said a lot of things that I don't get to hear from other people, which makes us, partners. So, but anyway, thank you for coming on, and we really appreciate you. And hopefully we got some work in the future. And any last words that you want to leave our audience?
I still have to go back to listen. Just listen.
Oh, I love that. That's a powerful statement, and I think there's a lot of need for listening in there, and arguments, disagreements and things like that. Listening is super powerful. I'm actually focusing on that myself to learn a little bit more and trying to grow in that space. And so with that, guys, another great show, another great guest. There's some incredible lessons in here, and hopefully you guys got something from it. Please like, share, subscribe. And if you don't remember anything else when dealing with Great Employees Matter, remember greatness, excellence, and motivation, and always be a gem. And we'll see you next week, 2:00, same place, same channel.